Ever wondered how the rich use debt to get richer? Welcome to the intriguing world of debt, a place where the wealthy play a different game. Forget what you've been told about debt being a four-letter word. The wealthy know that not all debt is created equal. There's good debt and bad debt, and the trick is knowing how to leverage the former to your advantage. It's a tool, a stepping stone to greater wealth. Stay tuned as we delve into the 5 ways the wealthy employ debt to their advantage. Scene script. First on our list, leverage. But what does it mean? Leverage in the financial world is about using borrowed capital as a funding source to amplify potential returns on an investment. It's like a financial seesaw. On one side, you have the borrowed capital, and on the other, you have the expected profits. The goal is to have the profits outweigh the interest payable on the borrowed capital. So, how do the rich use leverage to increase their wealth? Let's delve into some examples. One of the most common ways is through real estate investments. Here's how it works. Imagine you want to buy a property valued at $1 million. Instead of paying the full amount upfront, you pay a down payment, let's say $200,000, and borrow the rest. You rent out the property and the rent covers your mortgage payments. Over time, as the property appreciates, you're left with a property worth more than your initial investment, amplifying your return. Another way the wealthy use leverage is in business investments. Say you own a business and you see an opportunity for expansion. Instead of using your own money, you borrow capital at a certain interest rate. If your business expansion succeeds and generates profits higher than the interest rate, you've successfully leveraged your debt. But here's the kicker. Leverage is a double-edged sword. It can magnify your returns, but it can also amplify your losses. If the investment doesn't pan out as expected, you're still on the hook for the borrowed capital, plus interest. That's why it's crucial to use leverage wisely, understanding both its potential rewards and risks. In essence, leverage is a tool, a powerful one that, when wielded correctly, can multiply wealth. The wealthy use it, not as a reckless gamble, but as a calculated risk to amplify their returns. Leverage when used wisely can multiply wealth, but remember, it's not without its risks. Secondly, let's talk about tax deductions. Now, this is where things start to get interesting. You see, there's a little secret about debt that most people don't know. And that secret is that interest on certain types of debt can be tax deductible. What does that mean? Well, it means that the cost of that interest can be subtracted from your taxable income, effectively reducing your overall tax burden. Let's dive a little deeper and explore some examples. One of the most common forms of tax-deductible interest is mortgage interest. If you own a home and have a mortgage, the interest you pay on that mortgage can often be deducted from your taxable income. This can result in substantial tax savings, particularly for those in higher tax brackets. Another example is interest on business loans. If you're a business owner and you've taken out a loan to help grow your business, the interest you pay on that loan can typically be deducted from your business's taxable income. This is a powerful tool that can help businesses manage their cash flow and reduce their tax liability. So what's the takeaway here? Well, the rich understand these nuances of the tax code. They know that certain types of debt can actually help them save money on taxes, and they use this knowledge to their advantage. They strategically take on debt that carries tax-deductible interest, effectively reducing their overall tax burden. But remember, this isn't about recklessly accumulating debt. It's about understanding how the tax code works and using that knowledge to make smart financial decisions. The rich don't just take on debt for the sake of it. They do it strategically with a clear understanding of the potential tax benefits. So the next time you hear about someone taking on debt, don't just assume they're in financial trouble. They might just be using the tax code to their advantage. By understanding the tax code, the rich turn their debts into tax-saving tools. Thirdly, have you ever considered the role of inflation in debt? It's a concept that seems counterintuitive at first glance, but it's a powerful tool in the wealthy's arsenal. You see, inflation is the rate at which the general level of prices for goods and services is rising, leading to a decrease in purchasing power. Essentially, your dollar today will buy less tomorrow. So, how does this play into the hands of the rich? Well, when they take on long-term debt, they essentially lock in a fixed repayment amount. However, as inflation erodes the value of money over time, the real cost of that debt decreases. To put it simply, they end up paying back their loans with money that's worth less than when they borrowed it. Consider this: if you borrow $1 million today and inflation runs at an average of 2% per year, in 10 years' time, that $1 million will only be worth about $800,000 in today's money. Now imagine you're a wealthy individual or a corporation borrowing not millions, but billions. The savings in real terms can be staggering. The trick here is that the rate of inflation should ideally be higher than the interest rate on the debt. If the inflation rate surpasses the interest rate, then the real interest rate could even turn negative, which means the rich are essentially being paid to borrow money. But remember, this strategy is not without risks. If inflation rates are low or negative, also known as deflation, then the real cost of debt could increase instead. Also, high inflation can lead to increased interest rates, which could make the cost of borrowing prohibitive. So it's a fine balancing act, and the rich employ experts to help them navigate these tricky waters. They understand the power of inflation and use it to their advantage, making their money work smarter, not harder. In an inflationary environment, the rich know that the real cost of their debt is falling. It's another clever strategy to turn debt into wealth, and it's one that's often overlooked by the average person. Fourthly, the power of low interest rates. It's like a magic spell that transforms the landscape of financial opportunities. When the interest rates drop, a window of opportunity opens for those who know how to leverage it. And guess who knows how to do that? Yes, you got it. The affluent. Low interest rates mean cheaper borrowing. It's like a sale in your favorite store where everything is available at a discount. But in this case, it's not clothes or gadgets on sale. It's money. And the rich are keen shoppers when it comes to buying money at a discount. They borrow during these periods of low interest rates not to spend on luxuries but to invest. The strategy is simple yet effective. They borrow money at a low interest rate, then they invest that money in opportunities that offer a higher return. The difference between the cost of borrowing and the return on investment is their profit. Imagine borrowing $100,000 at an interest rate of 2%. That would cost $2,000 a year. Now imagine investing that $100,000 in a venture that returns 10% annually. That's $10,000. Subtract the cost of borrowing from the return and voila, you've got an $8,000 profit. Of course, this strategy assumes that the investments perform well. There are risks involved, and the rich are not immune to them. They could lose their borrowed money if the investment goes south. But they mitigate these risks by diversifying their investments and seeking advice from financial experts. The rich also understand that low interest rates are not a permanent fixture. They're like a fleeting comet, here today, gone tomorrow. And so they seize these opportunities when they present themselves, making hay while the financial sun shines. And that's how the rich use low interest rates to their advantage. They borrow cheap, invest high, and pocket the difference. It's a game of numbers, and those who understand the rules can play it well. Low interest rates provide a golden opportunity for the rich to borrow cheaply and invest wisely. They are the financial world's equivalent of a sunny day at the beach, and the rich know how to make the most of it. Lastly, let's explore the concept of arbitrage. Now, this is a term that might sound complex, but it's really just a fancy name for a pretty straightforward principle. Essentially, arbitrage involves borrowing money at a low interest rate and then investing that money in an asset that provides a higher rate of return. The profit is made from the difference between the cost of borrowing and the return on investment. Let's imagine for a moment, you're a wealthy individual and you borrow $1 million at a 2% interest rate. You then invest that money into a business venture that yields an 8% return. The 6% difference, minus any fees, is your profit. That's arbitrage in action. But it's not just about investing in business ventures. The rich use this strategy in a variety of ways. They could invest in stocks, bonds, real estate, or any other asset that has the potential to yield a higher return than the cost of borrowing. And they don't always have to invest their own money. They can leverage other people's money to make even more. Now, while arbitrage might sound like a surefire way to make money, it does come with its own set of risks. After all, there's no such thing as a guaranteed return on investment. But with careful planning and a clear understanding of the market, the rich use this strategy to their advantage. Arbitrage is another tool in the rich's debt strategy toolbox, allowing them to profit from differences in market prices. So how do the rich use debt to get richer? Well, we've explored the 5 key strategies today. First, they use leverage, borrowing, to invest in opportunities that can potentially yield high returns. This allows them to amplify their profits. Next, they take advantage of tax deductions. By carrying certain types of debt, they can actually reduce their taxable income and save on taxes. Then, they consider inflation. Over time, the real value of debt decreases due to inflation, so they're essentially paying back less than they borrowed. They also benefit from low interest rates. In a low interest rate environment, the cost of borrowing is reduced, making it a good time to invest with borrowed funds. Lastly, they engage in arbitrage, borrowing at low interest rates to invest in high-yield opportunities, thus earning a profit from the difference. Debt is not just a burden. When used strategically, it can be a powerful tool for building wealth. So next time you think about debt, remember, it's not just about what you owe, but also how you use it.